And she said when we first met, after we said hello to each other, you know, here in Finland, we're very poor communicators. And I'll never forget that, because that seemed like an odd thing to say when you first meet someone. I said, well, what do you mean? They said, well, no, we don't do this small talk thing, and, you know, we're just not very good communicators. Here's another example. Before I went to Finland the first time, I had met a couple of Finnish students who were visiting the United States, and I said, well, how are you enjoying the United States? They said, oh, it's great. We've been to New York. We love the city, and it's actually even nice here in Western Massachusetts. Some places around here remind us of home. And I said, well, how do you like the education here? Are you learning anything? And they said, well, it's hard in an American classroom because, you know, people talk all the time. How do you like it? Oh, it's beautiful, the lakes, the forests, we really like it. I said, well, how about your university education? Are you learning anything? I said, well, not very much. You know, no one says anything. And in situations like that. Here's some other examples. Visitors to Finland say, well, you know, there's this dynamic that happens where you start a conversation and you say things like, how are you doing? It's good to be here. Yeah, I'm enjoying Finland. And then the Finnish person doesn't say anything back to you. You just kind of stand there. There's no uptake. You say, well, what do you mean there's no uptake? Well, that was kind of curious. And then from Finns, I'd hear the comment, you know, Americans, they engage in all this unnecessary talk all the time. Here. This is an actual occasion when the two of us were together with two of our friends, Lisa and Alu, at their home. We had a wonderful lunch together, and we were sitting together, and we sat for a while. We were looking out their windows, nice, you know, it was about this time of year, a little earlier, there was a little snow, the lake, pines, just beautiful. And by this time, we had lived in Finland for about 6 months, and I had started my more systematic field work. I had decided I am not going to break these silences. And I had asked Luann, please don't break the silence either. It was kind of okay. You know, I mean, I was kind of by that time thinking, maybe I can enjoy this. Well, Lisa finally says, now, when you're with your friends in the U.S., do you talk most all the time? And we said, well, yes. We do probably talk about the whole time we're together, and I'll never forget what she said. That must be exhausting. Genre show. So usually once something's broadcast, it's put in the can. But this particular segment of 60 Minutes was rebroadcast every year for at least 7 years. And it gets you thinking, why is that? But that doesn't stop there. It was shown in Finland in Finnish. It was shown in England. And then now it was put on YouTube. Some of you may be familiar with YouTube in 2007. So why this interest? What is going on with this video text? If things work here in a second, I brought a brief version of it. It's not
comfort in knowing there is a country more melancholic, more pessimistic than ours. 60 Minutes reporter Morley Safer went to Finland, a wealthy country, but a country where gloom is pervasive, melancholy, sorrow and shyness abound. All this, though, is alleviated by a massive intake of alcohol, and as you'll see, a dash of Latin.
If you're going to say something, speak directly just to the subject matter, the matter at hand. And in order to do that, you need to think for a while before you would speak. Okay, and that's there's a cultural frame for that. When many Americans, when they're there, they're just being silent. Nobody's saying anything. You know, there's no American English term really to capture that in the. So don't you like it? No, I said it was nice. And she said, I can't get out of my mouth this, oh, it was so very wonderfully good. That runs against my Finnish brain. I liked her metaphor. So yeah, and I think these are the kinds of things that are literally problems of communication. You know, how do you express positive favor? To what degree? And that's why I think many American speakers of English in Finland sound really goofy to Finnish ears. You've overstated things. You've gone way beyond what was necessary, to the point where I'm a little suspicious you even like the bread. There's a refined nonverbal communication set of messages and channels that are active in Finland that I simply don't know. And here's one basis for that. A colleague of mine wrote a paper. She's at the time was unmarried, and she was writing about selecting a romantic interest at like a pub. And she went through a description of 6 or 7 stages, all nonverbal. You could be there together. You could find out who's interested, who isn't. You could reaffirm the interest nonverbally. You can get up and leave together, and you've never said a word to each other. You know, now that is absolutely